All right, so Scout. I was with Leo Burnett, I was in staffing for a long time, so know quite a bit about staffing. It was a marketing staffing firm. Sold it to Aquint, which is the world's largest creative marketing staffing firm, 35 offices, $500 million around the world. And also we're owned by TRI Ventures. Scout was developed by TRI Ventures, which few people know, but they're the largest shareholder of Angie's List. So we have this convergence of really great recruiting experience of trying to find and hire people for years and years around the globe. And then we have the recommendation engine of Angie's List, and that's what Scout is about. But really what Scout's about is, being innovative technology. That's what we're saying is changing the oldest industry on the planet. We don't think it's the oldest, we think it's the second oldest, but it is about using permanent agencies for recruiting and using what we call headhunters. So if you're trying to find the best way to use agency recruiters, third-party agencies, Scout what we say could be your best friend. The problem with the industry is, as Peter mentioned, is that there's a lot of emotion. There's not how you choose your vendor list when you use an agency. There's 17,000 staffing firms operating in 35,000 offices. There's hundreds of thousands of recruiters in those firms, very high agency fees, and it's very time-consuming for contract negotiations. And on top of that, there's even more time weeding out mismatched candidates. So we decided to come to market about 2 years ago. We just got out a pilot with some great companies, and we'll share some of that data with you and show you a little bit more about what's happening in Scout. But the positions take a long time to fill. We're seeing, on average, when a third-party agency is engaged, we're seeing on average between 72 and 74 days before that position is filled. So the industry is somewhat archaic, and technology has touched, postings, it's touched succession planning, it's touched compliance, it's touched everything that you do as an HR professional and as recruiting and sourcing, but it hasn't touched, where a lot of money is being spent on third-party agencies. And in fact, you'll see a slide later on, $6.2 billion was spent last year on contingent search, not staffing, not temps, just full-time permanent search firms made $6.2 billion. Another $6.1 billion was spent on retained search. So all of you in this room contributed to a $12 billion market. And we think there's a better way, and we really didn't go out to market until we looked at some of the big data that's behind it. One of the things about Scout and about the marketplace is we've created a marketplace, and we've created it where we get your position to the best recruiter, the best headhunter, and we'll talk about how we do that. But the premise of the product is really about matching, and there's been this rage, and I'm sure you guys have lived it, and I'm sure I'm going to hopefully not insult folks in this room, but because I lived in this world for a long time with another product, but a lot of it is matching jobs to resumes, okay? Whether or not it's Career Builder, whether or not it's your ATS, whether or not, whatever product you use or whatever you try to do on Monster.com, of matching a job to a resume. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work. It's very difficult. It's very hard to do between the candidates, what they do with their resumes, but also the algorithms of how technology companies use to match those resumes. So it's very hard. And one thing we looked at was, what if we used jobs to recruiters, matching a job to how a recruiter performed, how you all performed, how a third-party agency performed, if they placed those similar positions in the last 6 months in the same geography, in the same job description, in the same salary range. What if we were able to figure out, measuring recruiters of their performance against the job? So that's what we did, and we saw some really interesting data. And it allows you at the end of the day to invest your time with the right recruiter, the right firm to find you that candidate. We looked at hundreds of thousands of records. We looked at over 1 million records, 100,000 jobs, and probably about 10,950 placements that were done by third-party agencies. And we found some very interesting things. It shows the best way to improve recruiting is really using this big data, and big data that's at your fingertips to match and analyze each job. The first thing we saw is that the more agencies working on the order, the higher the fill rate. No kidding, Sean, really? Okay, well, this is now factual. We all thought that. I bet often you put a position out to a third-party recruiter, to one person or two people. Remember, they sold you, they know your culture, they've been there forever, they've taken you to baseball games, they know your boss, however they got in the organization on an emotional basis, you probably gave it to one or two recruiters. What we found is that when 4 or more recruiters work on one position, you have a 98% fill rate increase. 98% chance of filling that job. 4 or more. And you can see if you had 1, if you had 2, if you had 3, or greater than 4. So the fill rate numbers are pretty dramatic. Now, if you measure it to time, you guys probably all have PKIs that you're measured against of time to fill. What we're seeing is that they get filled faster with more agents. It's increased it by 35%. So 4 more agents or 4 more companies or recruiters working on one position, it's a 35% increased fill rate. All right, this is big. So we were just with the Wall Street Journal about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about Scout, and they're coming out with an article and all this. 91% of all jobs, remember we analyze tens of thousands of fills. These are fills, are done by specialty recruiters. And I don't mean like a recruiter that specializes in accounting. We're talking about somebody that specializes in technology. They specialize in technology. They specialize in SQL or Java or Python in Los Angeles, within a neighborhood. And it gets down and down and down to look at their success rate, and 91%. So if you give it to a recruiter that doesn't have the experience, their chances of filling that successfully is only 8% or 9%. You can go either way with this. You can say 91% if you find a specialized recruiter, or you can say, well, if I give it to my buddy who's an accounting recruiter for an IT position, he or she has a 9% chance of filling that job. So the solution was, how do we put all this together? How do we put together this kind of Angie's List recommendation engine and matching, and we're kind of rejecting matching a job to a resume? How do we bring together all this data that we learned? Well, we created Scout, and it's pretty cool. And we've had lots of companies on and lots of recruiters. We just started launching literally 4 months ago. So Scout harnesses the power of performance-based matching to sift through the vast marketplace of agency recruiters, connecting you to the best ones to fill each job efficiently and easy. It's not a bounty jobs. This isn't the Wild Wild West. This is a closed system that's really integrated into Taleo and Connexa and some more applicant tracking systems on the line. And what this does is look through all the agencies all the agents, or what we call recruiters, the third-party recruiters, individual performance, and we send them the job based on their track record. So we have this performance-based data that sifts through all those recruiters. It pinpoints and connects the employers to just the right ones for each job, and it's seamless within Taleo Enterprise, Taleo Business Edition, Connexa, and a few others that will be coming online in first quarter. So how it works. When an agency comes on through, like, I'm not sure if you've ever heard these ATSs that you probably use, or not you use, but staffing firms and recruiters use, called Bullhorn, Sendouts, PCR, Max Hire, there's a bunch of them. We're integrated into those. So when a recruiter signs on, we download millions of pieces of data about each individual recruiter in that company. We download their past placements, their agency, the average fee, the location, their specialty, all their past job orders, all their past job descriptions, and we have them in a very large database. And we then do that analysis of the job. We find the best recruiter. We send them that job. You begin to see great candidates that come back within your applicant tracking system, and you hire painlessly. And we'll show you this data. I mean, what the end result's been. The cool thing about companies using Scout is it's one contract. We've created a marketplace like eBay or the New York Stock Exchange. Everybody's on the exact same contract. So you never have to go get an approved agency again, nor does that agency gets to work with some global companies that they've never had a chance to work with because they have the talent. One thing I didn't mention is that there's a bidding function. So when you submit a position, you're able to bid. You're able to say, I'll pay 18%, I'll pay 17%, I'll pay 20%. And there's a bidding mechanism when they send back the candidate for you to accept or decline or to keep on bidding. And we'll show you the results of that. And it's one, and you don't get more outreach from more agencies. So how you benefit. Thousands of independent recruiters. We have access to over 30,000 recruiters. And these are firms. These are not just one guy or one woman out of their basement. The recruiters and the top candidates you're able to connect with very quickly because they have filled these positions just like this in the last 6 months. It doesn't go to them. It's been 33% faster on average, and we're saving 30 to 40% on agency fees. And there's no need to buy or install. This is completely free for you to use. We make our money off a piece of the agency fee that you agree to. So there's not a lot of work there. It is in Taleo, it is in Connexa. It's very, very deeply integrated in both Business Edition and Enterprise and Connexa as well. A lot of real estate, and we spend a lot of time developing that. But you're able to see your fee. You're able to submit very easily from your systems into the marketplace and into Scout. The resume comes back. They don't know who you are. When they submit a resume, you don't know who the candidate is. It's Richard H. Also, we tell you the agency, and they have some agency notes. Another thing we do is dedupe. So how many, I know you guys have spent millions of dollars on your database, but we dedupe on if that candidate is in your database that an agency has submitted, we tell you that. We say, go find him or her. Don't use that agency, frankly. Or we tell the agency to resubmit because it already exists in your database. So that's really kind of awesome that Taleo and Connexa has built that. If you accept, it goes into your ATS, that the recruiter contacts you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're interested, you can go online and see a demo and so forth. What we're seeing, what's happened. Again, we selected a very small group of companies. 27% of the companies, the companies that came on, there were 30 of them, large, small, posted 27% of their open jobs that they had, which was amazing because that was very high. 4,000 recruiters came on, so these agencies, these independent recruiters that came on, there's 4,000 of them. Average match recruiters per job was about 33, so 33 recruiters received the job. The 11 candidates were submitted per job. The average salary in the system is about $105,000. The average fee saving is 30%. So they're getting really, really great senior talent at 18, 19, 17% fees versus the 30 or the 25 that you're used to your firms paying. Some of our clients that have agreed to let us be out there with them during the pilot is Ipswich or Commerce Bank, and then you can get started today. It's very easy. If you use Taleo or Connexa, you submit a service request and off you go. So thank you. That was a fire hose, but if you have some questions, that'd be great.
Thanks, Sean.